Hey guys, it's MBSC1 again, and as promised, I'm making a video about why I think Darkrai Garbodor is the best deck, and also why I just kind of like the deck. So, my first reason, and my biggest reason for why I like the deck is because of the options. So, Darkrai Garbodor, I think, is the deck that you have the most options with out of any of the top tier decks. I guess if you consider Flareon a top tier deck, that might have more options. But Darkrai has a ton of options. For example, hammers, you can decide to run Enhanced Hammer or Crushing Hammer or not. Your catcher count varies a lot nowadays since it's a coin flip. The deck can be more aggressive Darkrai Garbodor or less aggressive where you use Sableye more. um, some people run less lasers. You can get away with 3 instead of 4 if you want. The tools you use can vary a lot from running 4 Floatstone, 2 Dark Claw to maybe 2 Floatstone, 1 Silver Mirror, 1 XP Share, and maybe 1 or 2 Dark Claw. The combinations are, endless. Even, some people even run Eviolite if you have a big basic Garbodor um, amount, or a big amount of people running that. Eviolite might even be an okay idea. Absol or no Absol, a big that's a big one, at least for me. I like that the deck doesn't need Absol. A lot of people like it. Not saying that all decks need Absol or anything like that. I like that it's still good with basically no non-EX attackers. You can also choose to play Yveltal, EX, or not EX Yveltal, or Baby Yveltal, I guess they're probably gonna call it now. Um, I choose not to, but I might in the future. And then there's also Shadow Circle, which is this new stadium that came out that makes it so that if there's any dark energy attached to a Pokemon, it has no weakness. So that's really nice. Also because of fighting and lightning type weakness if you're running Yveltal. So I just like that you have all those options with the deck, and there's not really um, a set list that you run. Because like in Blastoise and Ember, well, mostly Blastoise, for example, there's like 55 cards out of every Blastoise deck are going to be pretty much the same, and you might have like 5 chart cards you can change. And that's about it. Another thing I like, the second thing I like is the flexibility to choose whether to Junk Hunt or Night Spear. So like I was saying before, you can be aggressive or non-aggressive with the deck, but you really have the choice to do that even with um, builds that are built more aggressive. So like for example, if you had a list with like 4 Darkrai and 3 Sableye, um, it would be probably considered a little bit more aggressive. It's kind of the type of deck where you want to use your Sableye once and then get the 7 prize trade going, and then after that just Night Spear the whole game. But if you wanted to, since you run 3 Sableye, you can still be non-aggressive and just junk hunt for a lot of the time, and then super autumn back in and keep junk hunting. Um, and then the other way it works too. You could run 3 Darkrai and like 4 Sableye, and then still be aggressive because you still have enough Darkrai to be aggressive with it. um, so the flexibility I think helps a lot. It's a little bit more flexible in straight Darkrai because you have that free retreat. So if you need to choose between Night Spearing and Junk Hunting, it's a little bit easier because you can just retreat for free. But you still have Switch and Floatstone, so that helps it stay kind of flexible. One thing I really like, this is kind of just preference. A lot of people don't really care about this, but I do. I'm kind of OCD about it, I guess you could say. I really like that the math works out really well. So, for example, Virizion Genesect runs pretty much, or not entirely, but almost all Pokemon with 170 HP. So, the math works out so that you take like exact knockouts and you don't waste any damage. So like you do 90 plus the Dark Claw makes 110, and then if you play a laser with Burbank out, that does 140, and then you can catch one of their bench Pokemon out and then do 30 damage to that Pokemon that you did 142 last turn. It makes exactly 170, and you take a knockout. And then if you did 2 turns before or something, you did 140 to the one that you catchered up, you can take 2 knockouts. Or no, I'm sorry, if you sniped the bench on the previous basically, the math works out really well, and you're not wasting any damage a lot of the time just because of that 170 HP that a lot of EXs have. And it kind of sucks when there's 180 HP Pokemon like Lugia. That pisses me off, but it really just takes like an extra snipe to the bench um, or something like that, or you just don't play the Darkrai because it doesn't help out that much. But the math, pretty math, as my geometry teacher calls it, just makes me happy. Not wasting any damage. I like that. Um, Sometimes I consider running Dusknoir just because that helps out with making the math as efficient as it can be. Um, the fourth thing is Junk Hunt is basically the best attack in the game. Getting 2 item cards out of your discard pile is ridiculously good, and my personal favorite reason for having Junk Hunt, or the reason I like Junk Hunt the most, is a better way to phrase it, is because you can get supporters back using either Dowsing Machine or Random Receiver. You can Junk Hunt for the Random Receiver and then Random Receiver into a supporter if you have no uh, supporters in your hand. So that's another thing that's nice about the flexibility of the deck, is because if you realize, oh, I don't have a supporter, you can retreat and then Junk Hunt and then get that Random Receiver so that you can have a supporter on the next turn. So I think Junk Hunt's great. The other thing is recycling lasers is so good. Being able to essentially play 7 lasers in a game is amazing. That's 210 damage just from an item card. Um, and then also catchers, being able to recycle catchers is really good, so that you can do that thing I was talking about earlier where you do the snipe to the bench in 140 and then on the next turn do the same thing again. So, and there's other stuff like recycling hammers and enhanced hammers, Junk Hunt is essentially the reason why Darkrai has the advantage against Plasma. Without enhanced hammer and Junk Hunt, it'd probably be a pretty bad matchup. Regular Plasma and Yeti, but so that's the fourth thing, and then the fifth reason I like the deck is because literally every deck that is good right now has abilities or runs Garbodor, which also is an ability. So, except maybe Flareon. I like Flareon. I consider it top tier, but a lot of people don't. So Garbodor shuts down a big portion of literally every top tier deck. So that's awesome. It kind of sucks because pretty much everyone runs at least 2 Tool Scrapper in their decks, except maybe like Garbodor decks. But yeah, I guess being able to shut down abilities is just so helpful. Getting rid of that Verdant Wind is really good, and especially against Virizion and Genesect. Those 2 abilities, Red Signal and Verdant Wind, you don't really think about them that much. They don't seem amazing, and when they get shut down and you're playing the deck, you're like, well, it's not a huge deal. I'll just keep G boostering or whatever. But it really helps the matchup a lot, and I that's a big reason why I started running Garbodor instead of just doing the straight Darkrai version, is just because you can win that matchup against Virizion and Genesect. And then there's also Raybor and Blastoise, which like entirely run off abilities, and so it's really cool being able to stunt their aggressiveness, I guess, basically throughout the whole game. And I guess that's basically it. But the big reasons are because of the options and the flexibility. I like that a lot. And I like that the deck takes a lot of thinking too. Basically the decisions with what you Junk Hunt for can take a lot of thought sometimes. I irritate my opponents sometimes because I'm really slow when I'm thinking about it. But it's a fun deck. It takes a lot of thinking. It's definitely not a deck for new players. When I started playing Darkrai, that's basically what I've played since I started the game. Before, at the beginning, I was terrible with it, and I didn't know what to do, and I basically just Junk Hunted for lasers every turn, which actually turns out not to be that bad of a strategy, because they do so much damage. But yeah, well, I started doing that when lasers came out, because I didn't start playing when lasers were out. But anyway, thanks for watching. That's about it. Like if you like the video, comment if you want to tell me something, and subscribe if you want to.